Hi, and welcome to the third episode in this mini-series. These videos are for veteran Final Fantasy VII players that want to obtain perfect player statistics and multiple copies of nearly every item in the game. To do this, we utilize advanced variants of the W item glitch. In the last two episodes we covered the basic W item glitch, as well as three other, more complicated versions. The Steel version, the Morph version and the Advanced Morph technique. In this episode we're going to cover the last two variants, the Throw technique and the Reverse Steel technique. So, let's begin. The methods we're going to cover in this episode are a little different to the previous techniques. Unlike those other methods, these glitches require you to own one pre-existing copy of the item you wish to duplicate, whereas the previous glitches required that your inventory held none at all. We'll start with the Throw technique. This method allows you to duplicate any item that can be used when issuing the Throw command. This technique will therefore duplicate most weapons. There are a few exceptions though. Both Tifa's and Red 13's weapons cannot be thrown, so they cannot be duplicated this way. The Buster Sword and Barrett's Gatling gun cannot be thrown either. In fact, there are three weapons that cannot be duplicated with any technique: the Gatling gun, the Buster Sword, and Red 13's Seraph Comb. Because it is quite time-consuming duplicating items using the W item glitches, it's recommended that you simply buy 99 copies of each weapon whenever possible. On screen now is a list of all the weapons that can be thrown but can't be bought on Disc 3. These are the weapons you should focus on when utilizing the Throw technique. Just like all the other advanced W item glitches, we first need to set up our inventory. Place a dummy item in the top slot, and any usable item in the second slot. As always, you should own one, and only one copy of your dummy item. Normally I use greens for the dummy item, but for the Throw technique, I'm going to use an instance of Dragon Scales. I shall explain why in a few moments. You should place the weapon you wish to duplicate in the third slot of your inventory. Again, you cannot own more than one instance of the weapon you are trying to duplicate, so sell off any other copies you own. Now that our inventory is organized, we need to set up our characters. It doesn't matter which characters are in your party, but I'm using Cloud, Vincent and Kate Sith. Similar to the Advanced Morph glitch, one of these characters is going to have to sacrifice their life for the glitch. There's no prizes for guessing the character that I'm going to elect. Congratulations Kate, you've been chosen as tonight's sacrificial lamb. Equip the chosen one with HP/MP swap. Also equip him with Throw Materia, preferably at level 1. You can buy fresh copies of Throw Materia from Fort Condor. Next we need an Executioner. I've selected Cloud for the role. Equip him with powerful magic that only affects one enemy, such as Comet or Freeze. Also, equip him with Revive Materia. Neither of these materia are essential, but they make the glitch easier and more efficient. Our final character simply needs W item equipped. Lastly, equip as many of your characters as you can with Steel Materia. It's preferable that this is also at level 1. You can buy fresh copies of Steel Materia at Kong. You may want to equip the Sneak Glove to one of your characters. You can buy this from the Wall Market Gun Shop for 129,000 gil. I typically equip it to Vincent, but again, this isn't essential. Now we're all set, it's time to do battle. For this glitch, I recommend you battle against sea worms. They can be found on the beaches near the cave that contains Quadra magic, just south of the Chocobo Ranch and east of Mid-Eel. Firstly, skip to Cloud's turn. Select his attack magic and aim it at Kate Sith, but do not cast it yet. Wait until the sea worm attacks with its Sandstorm ability. As soon as this animation begins, cast your magic. Now, quickly switch to Kate Sith and throw the weapon you wish to duplicate. Next, have Vincent select W item. Use the dummy item, scroll down to the usable item and wait for a few moments. When the Sandstorm animation has finished, Cloud will cast Comet. This will kill Kate Sith. Because Kate Sith did not get the opportunity to throw the weapon, it will be returned to your inventory. But because we've used up the first item in our inventory, and we have no other copies of the weapon, it will return to the top slot. Now we can continue the W item glitch at a leisurely pace. Start selecting and deselecting the usable in the second slot. You will see the weapon that now occupies the first slot is duplicated once for each time we select and cancel the usable. It's important that you don't make a mistake once you've begun duplicating the weapon. If you fail to get 99, you will have to reload or sell off the duplicates you've received and try again. Once you've duplicated 99 copies of the weapon, steal a copy of Dragon Scales from the Sea Worm to replenish your dummy item. This is why we use Dragon Scales instead of greens for our dummy item. Next, revive Kate Sith and kill the Sea Worm. Stealing the Dragon Scales and reviving Kate Sith in battle is not essential, but this is the routine I prefer. Another reason to fight against sea worms to execute this glitch is because the Sandstorm animation is particularly drawn out. In fact, it provides enough time to execute all the moves without having to cast magic on Kate Sith. You can simply physically attack him, throw the weapon, and begin the W item glitch. You can also morph sea worms into Dragon Scales. Because sea worms only have 9000 HP, if you equip YOSHIYUKI with the conformer, it can be morphed in a single blow. Use whichever strategy you feel most comfortable with. I strongly recommend that you save between each attempt. If you mess up the glitch, you may find that you've thrown away a very rare weapon. Also, set your ATB to active or recommended in the configuration menu, otherwise the sea worm won't attack while the magic list is open. The final version of the W item glitch is the reverse steal method. This is the most powerful of the W item glitches, as it is capable of duplicating every item in the game that can be replicated. It is no more difficult to execute than the other techniques, but it is heavily based on RNG. The random element of this glitch makes it arguably the most daunting of the 5 advanced techniques. We won't worry about that for now. Instead, we get straight into the Materia Setup. Obviously you need W item equipped to at least one character. Next you'll need magic materia that only hits a single enemy and has a lengthy animation. This can be anything from Fire 3, to Earth 3, to Comet, or Freeze. You need magic that temporarily freezes an opponent. Sleep, Stop and the Frog Song enemy skill are all potential options. I recommend Frog Song because it appears at the very top of the enemy skill list, making it rapidly accessible at all times. Equip this to as many characters as possible. Finally, copies of Isuna are also useful. If you do not have enough instances of Isuna, remedies are the next best option. For now, we'll just stick with very basic inventory management. Place a dummy item in the top slot and a usable item in the second. As usual, I recommend a green as the dummy item. It doesn't matter what weapons, armor or accessories are equipped. Now we're all set, it's time to do battle. For this glitch, we're looking for enemies called Vices, which are found in the Sector 5 slums of Midgar. These enemies have the rare ability to steal items from your characters. It is this ability that we're going to utilize for the glitch. Just like the morph technique, you must be fighting more than one of those opponents for the glitch to work. To begin, cast immobilizing magic on one of the vices. As mentioned earlier, I recommend Frog Song for this. For as long as that enemy remains immobilized, we don't have to worry about them. Now we just need to wait for the second opponent to steal something from our inventory. We will be able to duplicate whatever item it steals, but the item it steals is random, so more often than not it will steal an item that we don't care to duplicate, and the attempt will fail. On this occasion, I was unlucky. I don't need to duplicate turbo ethers. So, we're simply going to kill the vices before they escape, gain back our lost item and try again. Hopefully, next time around, we will be more lucky. This time, fortune favors us. The vice stole the Imperial Guard, which is an item that I want to duplicate. Now, we rapidly input the following commands. Use your attack magic to kill the vice that stole from you. Then, with the character that has W item equipped, begin the glitch as normal. Select your dummy item, cut it, scroll down to the usable in the second slot and wait. When the magic attack animation has completed, the stolen item will be returned to you. Provided you owned one and only one of this item, it will replace the dummy item in your top slot. Now, of course, you can continue the glitch. Begin selecting and cancelling the usable in the second slot to duplicate the returned item in the top slot. As you can see, the rudiments of this method are not much different to the other techniques, but we have very little control over what item is stolen, and thus, little control over what item is duplicated. The first step to improving our chances is to refine our method in battle. This is very straightforward. To begin, cast Frog Song and wait for the active opponent to steal. If he nabs a valuable item, continue the glitch as normal. If, on the other hand, he robs an item that you don't need to duplicate, or have already duplicated, cast Frog Song on the active opponent. After that, cast Asuna on the first enemy. Now the formerly immobilized opponent has an opportunity to steal. This gives you a second chance to execute the glitch. In this example, the active enemy stole a fourth bracelet, an item I had already duplicated. I put him to sleep with Frog Song and woke the immobilized opponent with Asuna. This opponent then stole an Aegis omelet, an item that I wanted to replicate. Taking advantage of this second opportunity each battle is a massive time saver if you are aiming to acquire 99 copies of every possible item in the game. Just be warned, if the immobilized vice awakens, typically it will immediately flee the battle. If the active vice is taking its sweet time to steal, you may want to double down on the sleeping opponent by casting Stop. This is just an added safety measure. Before getting into inventory management, just note that this glitch is also easier to perform if your ATB is set to active or recommended. If it isn't, the vices will not steal while your magic menu is open. If you've made it this far, congratulations! You now know all 6 versions of the W item glitch. But there's one final hurdle to overcome. In Final Fantasy VII, there are approximately 300 different items. As such, the odds of acquiring 99 copies of all the items that can only be duplicated using this method are remote, with only 32 items that are recommended to duplicate using the reverse steal glitch. If you owned one copy of every item in the game, the chances of duplicating something desirable with this method would start at around 100 to 1 and diminish to about 300 to 1 by the end of the grind. We need to increase our odds, and the only way to do this is to dramatically reduce our inventory and purge every item we can from it. A comprehensive breakdown of inventory organization would require far too much detail to pack into a single video. So, in this tutorial we're going to begin with the assumption that you've diligently acquired at least one copy of every item in the game during your playthrough. It's wise to obtain several of these items later, so as to increase your odds further. We'll explain those few items shortly. Reducing your inventory to the limited selection, displayed on screen now, is enough to maximize your odds of duplicating desirable items significantly. Anything not displayed on this list can safely be purged from your inventory. The first 24 are items that you cannot obtain more copies of using any other W-item glitch method. You can obtain multiple copies of the next 8 items by relentlessly grinding through the mini-games at Gold Saucer. I strongly recommend that you exploit the glitch to duplicate these though. Grinding for them manually will take you dozens of hours. Acquire a copy of each of these before you begin the reverse steal grind. Together, these 32 items make up the focal point for the reverse steal method. Once these select few items have been successfully replicated, you can consider the grind complete. The next 18 items cannot be duplicated with any of the W-item glitches. You may have used the first 8 to learn your final limit breaks, but they can't be missed entirely. You can obtain multiple copies of the following 3 items by fighting hundreds of times at Battle Square in the special battle, but they can't be duplicated with any method and have no effect on your odds. After that you have the 3 weapons that can't be duplicated with any method. They can't be sold, they can't be missed, they have no effect on the glitch. They're nothing to worry about. The battery is a sneaky one. You acquire 2 of these in Midgar early in the game. But if you use both copies during the ascent to the upper plate, you will lose this item forever. In order to retain a copy, don't exchange the battery for an ether during that event. There's also a glitch that allows you to obtain a second copy of the save crystal, but this isn't something we will cover in this video. Retain your copy of the save crystal if you want a perfect save file. Finally, we have the 2 items dropped after defeating Emerald and Ruby weapon. As with all of these items, they cannot be sold and they do not affect the glitch. If you exchange them for the rewards in Calm, they're gone forever though. Again, retain these items if you want a perfect save file. None of these unduplicatable items have any effect on the reverse steal glitch, so you can pretty much ignore them when preparing for the reverse steal grind. Next, there's 8 items that can be more easily duplicated using the basic method and the steal method. However, you must have at least one copy of each by this point. If you missed your opportunity during the assault on Midgar to duplicate the items listed under the steal method, you have a second chance to duplicate them using the reverse steal technique instead. Now, we come to a host of weapons that are more easily duplicated using the throw technique. But again, you must have acquired one of each of them by the time you start this grind. While they're easier to replicate using the throw method, if the opportunity arises to duplicate any of them during the reverse steal grind, I recommend you take it. All of these 24 items negatively affect your odds during the reverse steal glitch, but there's nothing that can be done about that. They cannot be purged from your inventory if you want a perfect save file. The final 14 items can all be obtained after you've completed this grind. If you are very careful about which chests you open, which enemies you fight and which mini-games you play, you can avoid this until later. Doing so will increase your chances significantly. If you are doubtful that it's safe to scrap any of these items, I recommend that you don't. Simply acquire them all and be sure not to purge any of them from your inventory. However, if you want to be particularly smart in your preparation for this grind, here are a few pointers. The reflect ring and the circlet can be won using the steal method during your encounters with Ultima weapon, so don't engage with it until later. Cloud's ultimate weapon can simply be duplicated using the throw technique. You can also return to the Great Glacier and use the steal method to obtain 99 circlets from an enemy called Snow. The next 6 items can all be avoided in the Sunken Jelnica and the Ancient Forest. You will need to visit these areas to pick up items like the Spring Gun Clip and the Escort Guard in preparation for the reverse steal grind. But if you're careful to avoid the items listed here on your first visit, you can go back and acquire them later. Just a note, if you've not killed Ultima weapon, you must breed a green chocobo to access the Ancient Forest. Similarly, the next 4 items can easily be avoided at the following locations: Lucretia's Cave, the Darchow Statue, Rocket Town and Gold Saucer. You should have picked up a Dragon Fang during your fight with Schizo at the top of Gaia's Cliff. However, this item can also be won by beating the submarine minigame 3 times at Wonder Square. If you've not done that yet, you can safely remove this item from your inventory as well. The Flayer and the Vagarith Claw are particularly tricky. The Flayer is won at Speed Square in Gold Saucer once Cloud has returned to the party. It's the first prize you'll win for achieving 5,000 points after that event. You can gain this after the raid on Midgar, but you should make sure you have a copy of all the other items won from Speed Square before you start the reverse steal grind. If you've not acquired copies of the 135th Soldier, the Macedonian Blade and the Super Sweeper already, you have to pick up the Flayer before you start the grind as well. The Vagarith Claw can easily be won from Fort Condor. Just allow the enemy to reach the heart and kill the Commander Grand Horn. Only low-level Grand Horns drop this item, so be sure to get it early if you want to acquire the item this way. You can also steal this from Bagris near Cosmo Canyon. However, the more you level up, the less likely it is that the steal will be successful. Normally you will just win softs. If a character reaches level 71, they will find it utterly impossible to steal a Vagarith Claw. So, when you can get these items late game, I advise you acquire one and duplicate it as soon as you can. Owning this before you start grinding with the reverse steal glitch will reduce your odds, but accepting that trade-off is well advised. That was a huge amount of information to digest. So, let's try to make better sense of it. The golden rule is that you can safely purge any item from your inventory unless you see it somewhere on this list. Make sure you've obtained one copy of every item that can be duplicated unless they're specifically listed as items to acquire later. You should only own one copy of each item you are trying to duplicate, so sell off any excess copies. With the exception of the battery, don't worry about any of the items that can't be duplicated. Replicate all the items listed under the steal method and the basic method as soon as you can. If you fail to duplicate the items in the steal method list during the Midgar raid, you have a second chance using this technique instead. If you want to be extra smart, play through the game, intentionally missing the items listed under acquire later. There are only 15 of them. Just be careful with the Vagarith Claw though, consider getting a copy of that as soon as you can. If you followed all that, you've minimized your inventory and increased your odds from 1 in 100 to almost 1 in 2 at the start. This will diminish to 1 in 57 by the end of the grind. Far better than 1 in 300 though. That's not including any curatives and dummy items you own, but still, it's a vast improvement. On top of that, you can get to work duplicating all the items listed under the throw method in advance. By the time you get to duplicating items using the throw technique, you'll find you already have 99 copies of most of those weapons already. Now you're all set to obtain 99 copies of virtually every item in the game. The grind for all these items will take you several hours, but that's the price of becoming a god. Before I go, I have just one last tip to share with you. This is just a quick note on how to get rich quick. Most players grow and sell dozens of copies of all materia. Each mastered all sells for 1,400,000 gil. But there are other methods that are arguably better. The basic W item glitch allows you to duplicate silver screens, which sell for 2,500 gil each. Sell 98 of them, and you've made 245,000 gil in one fight. Not bad for a single battle. Better still, the Winchester, Crystal Cross, Crystal Sword, Crystal Megaphone, and the AM Cannon can all be duplicated using the throw method and sold for 9,000 gil. That's 882,000 gil for selling 98 copies of each weapon. Sid's Partisan can be sold for a whopping 9,500 gil. That's 931,000 gil for 98 copies. And there you have it. All that's left to do is grow stupid amounts of materia. But I'll leave that to you. Thanks again for watching. As always, I hope newcomers manage to grasp these concepts, and I hope veterans gain some new knowledge. Please do all the things YouTubers normally tell you to do at the end of their videos. You'll find links, timestamps for quick navigation, and useful information in the description. If you haven't already, check out the previous videos. In the final episode, we're going to run through all the methods in brief, so you have a quick and easy guide to follow. I hope to see you there. Goodbye.